The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Cassie Stumo. I am the marketing specialist here at EAC. Welcome to our new 15-minute webinar series. These are shorter than normal webinars that are meant for those that are currently using the software and can benefit from everyday tips and tricks from our experts at EAC. We'll begin today's session with an intro of EAC, and then our technical account manager and Windchill expert, Bill Schlund, will talk us through how to search in PTC's Windchill. Everyone will receive a recording of the session pending any technical difficulties, and then please feel free to drop in questions in the chat, and we'll answer them after the presentation, or if we don't have enough time, I will reach out to you. So for those of you who don't know who we are, I'll start off with a quick intro. Our mission is to transform the way companies design, manufacture, connect to, and service their products. We are not only a value-added reseller for PTC, but we're the #1 solutions provider for them, which is something that we are very proud of. We have experts in 22 areas of product development and are located all over the U.S. With our headquarters in Burnsville, Minnesota. We offer our customers everything they need for product development, such as SLM software, which helps you create and manage service documentation, and PLM software, which helps you to manage internal product data. We implement the Internet of Things and augmented reality into business strategies to jumpstart initiatives around digital transformation and connecting all things in your company. But today we are going over how to search in PTC Windchill, and Bill will be running us through his agenda of what we'll cover today. So go ahead, Bill.
All right, thanks, Cassie. Good morning, everybody. So I'll be going through Windchill and a variety of different ways of finding information. We'll use simple searches, advanced searches, index searches, and then, of course, browsing. Another way that we can find information in Windchill is to use the EAC apps. This is just a short little commercial on some of the capabilities that EAC has put together, but we have something called the Quick Search app. Real simple way of finding information in Windchill. It's good for finding keyword information on name and number, or even some other kind of customized attributes that you might want to find, but just simple search like this. If I wanted to see that particular component, I can see it here. If I wanted to add in some documents or other drawings, I can see that all here. So this is a really nice, quick, it's kind of meant to be the Google of searches, right? As long as you understand the keywords. You notice I didn't type in any wildcards or anything. It automatically adds those for me. But a quick way of kind of searching and getting through information. So with that, let's proceed talking about Windchill itself. There are two search tools available in Windchill. There's searching and browsing. There's two kinds of searching. There's a simple search, which enables you to search based on keyword criteria. And then there's an advanced search, which enables you to narrow down the search further by specifying things like object class or object attributes. No matter which kind of search you use, you can always save it and reuse it later. Sometimes you're not really sure or certain about the types of criteria to apply, and you just want to know what kind of information is available for a specific context. So then we use the browse. In that situation, we just go through the folder browser and find our information that way, regardless of how you look at an object or an object information. You can always view attributes, contents, relationships, things like that by hitting the little I button or the view information icon on any file in Windchill. So I will talk about simple search first. Simple search utility is available in the Windchill header, and it allows you to locate information using keyword search criteria. The simple search capability is controlled by really two factors: the scope and the Windchill system configuration. So simple search scope is controlled by the object type, which we see here on the left. It's a pull down. We pick the type of document that we're picking, in this case, a document we want to search on. It could be WT part, could be a CAD document, something like that. And then we use the keyword area to find the specific information about that type of, in this case, document. So something that is, has the word requirements at the end, but it could be having characters in front of it, as we see in the example here. Simple search capability is also controlled by the configuration of the way that you set up Windchill. So by default, the keyword search criteria specifically just looks at name and number only. So if you do nothing else to Windchill, it just searches on name and number when we type that into the search criteria. It's beneficial to use wildcards, and we'll take a look at that. So for example, if we were to type in 123 in the search field, the results will return back to us anything that is named 123 or anything that is numbered 123. If we type in star 123 star, the search will return anything that contains 123 in the name or contains 123 in the number. And I'm speaking of non-indexed searches right now. You can also substitute in a question mark to replace a single character. This only works for keyword searches, though, this question mark character. Some special characters or delimiters are recognized by Windchill. For instance, you might have a really complicated part number, and it might be 123-456-789. So Windchill recognizes that dash as a special character. There are 3 special characters that it recognizes. It recognizes periods, dashes, and underscores. All other characters are taken out of the text string when you're entering them in the search criteria. So for instance, if you typed in 123/ABC, it's interpreted as 123 space ABC. And really what it's doing is it's saying it's searching for 123 or ABC, right? So it takes out the character it doesn't understand and really puts an or in there. If your system is configured with index search, the search capability is expanded and the keyword criteria is applied to the search collection built from object attributes. So there's something out there searching through files, makes an indexed list, and then that is used for searching as well, other than just attributes. So there are really 5 criteria that are applied when you're doing an advanced search. We can see those listed here, but there's the keyword search, there's the type of object we're searching on, there's the criteria, which are additional attributes that could be searched, there's the context, what product is this in, and then there's something called related objects. And we'll touch on that briefly, but it's kind of a deep subject and a little beyond our 15-minute time limit here. So the keyword search fields enable you to specify simple search criteria. The type section refers to the object type. Is it a WT part? Is it a parts list? Is it a document? Then there's the context. And like I said, that's like the product context that we're talking about. And then criteria. And that enables you by default, like I said, just looks at name and number. And then you can narrow the search down by using additional attributes in the drop-down menu that you see in the criteria area. Now, I'm going to touch a little bit on the related objects just right now. A related objects search, that section enables you to perform searches based on object relationships. So what that means is that I could say, I want to search for all parts that have a related change request to it, or I want to search for all CAD documents that have a document attached to it, or something like that. So it looks at relationships like that. The related object field, that search capability appears, because it's not there by default, when the enable related object search preference is set to yes. And only one type of object can be searched for, right? So you can't search for all objects that have related relation to something else, right? It's only a particular type of object. And that object type is associated with a template. So you actually have to build a template, and the template you make is used using Query Builder, right? So that's what I meant by it's kind of a deep subject. There's a lot of things, mechanisms, things that have to be done in order to do the related object search. So talking a little bit about the advanced search of the type of thing that we can search for. Again, this is the object type. So if we want to add object types, we can just click the add button and we get a drop-down list and we can add other types of objects to search for. The ones that we check off, obviously, like we see here, CAD documents and parts, it will search for those object types and not the other types that are available. If we want to unselect one of those, that would be the same as excluding that object type from the search. And we can also delete an object type just by mousing over it, and a little red X will appear to the right, and you can click that, and it will delete that particular object type from the search criteria. So one of the things with criteria is that we can nest them. And so we could have object names with requirement that it be the latest iteration and are in a release state. So we're using and or operators to do this. In this particular example, there's actually two, given this list of 4 things we're searching on, there's 2 different variations that will come out, results. The first would be, it'll look for the name, the iteration, and the state. And then the second search would be the name, the iteration, and the modified by. So what it does with the ands is it grabs both of those together and then pulls one from the list of ors and includes it in there and uses that. And then the second time around, it grabs both the ones in the and section and then includes the next one from the or section. So that's kind of a way of kind of nesting your searches. In fact, if I reverse those and had the or on top and the and as the second one, it would give me 3 different results, right? Because it would search for a name with requirements in it, or it would give me a name with the iteration as the latest, or it would give me a state that's released and modified by Fred Smith. All right. So just remember that you can nest those, and we can use and or are the operators that we would use to do that. So I mentioned briefly about index searches, and we're going to talk about that compared to a database search, or basically kind of your typical non-indexed search. So if you have Windchill index search enabled, keyword searches are performed against all object attributes and content of the document files. All right, so that's what's different about it, is it searches for all attributes and content in document files. If you're performing a non-index search, then the keyword search is performed just on name and number by default. If you're using additional attributes under the criteria, the advanced search page then is going to do a database search. So even if you have index searching on and you search for particular attributes under the criteria heading, it's sort of like turning off indexing, and it just does those attribute searches. So database search, a non-index search, is basically an attribute search. It searches for attributes. This is how you turn on index search. I just copy and paste some things. But there's 2 things that you have to turn on, right? You have to set WT index enabled to true, and you have to go under the utilities and set enable index to search to yes, and then restart Windchill. But the thing is, there's a lot more to it than that. It's just easier. It's more complex than flipping on a switch, or these 2 switches in this case. An index search allows you to search for keywords within the metadata of the content of the objects. So an index extracts text strings of attributes from Windchill and then sends those to a search engine that are indexed for searching later. This allows you to search for data without really knowing the internal information in an object. You have to install the Windchill index search to perform this function. System administrator has to set it up and maintain it, or EAC can do that for you, as we've done that a number of times with many customers. The Windchill index search file content is based on selected MIME file types. I'll show you a list of those, but there's only certain files that it runs through and indexes. In a non-indexed keyword search, by default, it looks for name and number, as I mentioned before. But if we wanted to add extra attributes, other attributes other than name and number, you have to use the xconfig manager utility. All right, and that allows you to go into a file, a properties file, and for each object type, we can add additional properties that we want it to search for that particular object type. So do a help on about the Xconfig Manager utility, and you can find out some more information about it. But as you can see, there's a little bit involved with setting up an index search. And this is the MIME types that I was talking about. XML isn't on here. This is a bit of an eye chart, so stop the movie if you're watching the movie and kind of browse it at your leisure. But by default, it will automatically look for or through XML files, but these are the other file types that are used in an index search. So keyword strings are compared against the contents of these types of objects. This also includes secondary content. Secondary content would be something that's attached to a file. So index searches are only performed against the latest iteration. Okay, that's important, the latest iteration only. That's where index searches take place. If you type in a space in an index search, it actually replaces that with an and. And if you wanted to search for something or something else, you type in or. But spaces are interpreted in an index search when it's searching through text as an and. And that still works the same, right? If I said run, spot, run, there's spaces between the run and the spot, it would still find spot or run and spot and run. It would still find that using an index search or whether I used a non-indexed search. So spaces in a non-index search are interpreted literally as a space, right? So if you want to separate and give it a list of things to look for, we use a semicolon, right? So in this example that we have here, we can see that we're searching for a file or a number called wheel space hub space 32. We're also searching for doc32 and budget matrix. And we have semicolons between those three either names or number files so that we get a return on this. But an indexed search puts an and between the spaces, and a non-indexed search just takes the space literally for doing that. Again, you get the same results for, in this case, like the wheel hub, as we see here. So I talked a little bit about the wildcard searches, right? For the non-indexed stuff, you can use a question mark to replace a character. When it comes to using wildcards with index searches, it's a little bit different. So when you perform an indexed keyword search that includes an asterisk or a wildcard, the placement of the wildcard can actually affect the results that you get. So if you have the asterisk trailing your keyword, the keyword is then, it assumed that the keyword is followed by either 0 or more characters, and it's compared against all object attributes, just like an index search searches through all object attributes and text within that content file. All right. If we put the asterisk before the keyword is preceded, it's assumed that the keyword is preceded by a 0 or more than 0 characters, and it's compared against name and number attributes only, right? So if we put the star before that and we have index searching turned on, it'll only apply that wildcard when it's looking at name and number. It doesn't apply it to any other attributes. The keyword is also compared when we have the asterisk before that. The keyword is also compared against text within the primary content because we're using index searching. But it does not return the results of the keyword with information before it. It drops the asterisk. It drops the wildcard. So if we use the wildcard, in this example here, we use form and then a wildcard, right? So in the example we see over on the right, we have 3 different, and these aren't parts, names or numbers. These are just, you know, Excel spreadsheet, a Word doc, different things like that, text file. And the index goes and searches those types of files. So when we do form star, it'll look through any attributes that we have for any of the parts that are out there. And then searching through the metadata, it'll find the word form. It'll find the word formalize because there's stuff after form. It won't find platform because there's characters before the form, and it's not searching for that. So then I say, well, why don't I put an asterisk before form? Then it will look for anything before the form, but only when it's looking at name or number of the part. Any other attributes, it drops the asterisk. So then what it does is it just finds the word form. It's sort of like just doing a search for form all by itself. It doesn't find platform. It doesn't find formalize. All right, so when you put the asterisk before, it only uses that for name and number, and then after that it drops it. So then if I do asterisk form asterisk, what it does is it looks for name and number that has the word form in it. That's great. But then it drops the original asterisk in the front, and it looks for anything after form and including form. So it's like the first one we did. So it'll find form and formalize, but not platform, because it dropped the asterisk in looking through the text files, or the text areas of these. So that begs the question, how do you find platform, right? What you have to do is search for PLAT star if you want to do that, and then the form part. So you just can't back search when you have index searching with a wildcard for any of the text information. So just be aware of that. It's usually better to just have, if you know the front part of it, and then do the asterisk after it, because that enables searching for everything. All right. So then there's something called faceted search. There you go. This is another type of search that isn't turned on by default. So if your system is configured for faceted results, a refined results pane pops up on the left that we see here, and it appears next to the results table. So this pane that displays or pops up after your search has attribute groups in it that are relevant to the type of objects that were searched for. So if you select a desired attribute, it further narrows down those search results that you see on the right side. The search selections appear above the search results table. So that's what we see in red there, is that's the search that was used. The results are down there below it. And then we go over to the table that pops up. Based on the type of object we're searching on, it will allow us to then narrow down that list further by different types of attributes or characteristics of this. So you see this in the parts lengths product. If you do a search by criteria, you could say, I'm searching for screws. So it lists out every type of screw you have. And then this facet frame pops up and you say, well, particular type of screw could be a shoulder screw, it could be a flathead screw, it could be a thumb screw, or so on. And that's how we can narrow it down that way. So faceted search actually allows you to narrow things down after it's already searched for the main category. So to turn it on, in order to use this faceted search, you have to have index search installed and enabled. So that needs to be running. Then you need to enable the search facets preference. You just set that to yes. You also have, your search has to include object types, right? Because that's what it's based on. Your search does not include the criteria specified under related objects. So if you use related objects in part of your search, it won't use this secondary pane, will not pop up. Also, the iteration cannot be specified. Because it's using index search, and remember, index search only uses the latest version. If you say specify all iterations or iteration 3, this pane won't pop up. It only will work with the latest iteration because it's dependent upon the index search. Right? So faceted search has a little bit to it. So there's a lot of information there. Let's do something simple, right? Let's talk about browsing. You can always find information and documentation by browsing for it, right? The folder page has 2 panels. The folder table on the left displays the folder structure of the content that we're searching for. And then the content table that we see kind of over here on the right, that displays the contents of the selected folder. Right? You can limit the types of things that are displayed on the right side, the types of objects that are displayed by object type, by storage format. You know, is it show me just folders, show me everything, show me contents, or we could do it by user, show it by owner, show it by created or modified by me. We could narrow it down by show it by state. You know, is it released? Is it work in process? So there's different filters we can apply to the right side of the folder contents table that we see there. You can also view the filter. In the view filter, you can create your own kind of custom view and save that. So kind of a customized version of the way that you filtered it. So the folders table also enables you to sort the table contents by column heading, right? So if you pick on the top of the column, it sorts it in ascending order. If you click that column heading again, it sorts it in descending order. You can also specify secondary and tertiary sorting by using the Shift button and then picking another couple columns, and then those are applied to further sort the list that you have there. So that's a little bit about browsing. That's a little bit about finding data in Windchill. So there's a number of courses that we have available that EAC teaches in regards to Windchill. And you can see those here. I'm going to turn it back to Cassie.
Thank you so much, Bill, for that walkthrough of how to search in PTC Windchill. And thank you, everyone who stayed on the call a little bit longer. We did have requests to cover a few more things than we originally put together. So hopefully this webinar answered everyone's questions. I did pull a list of our Windchill classes that we offer here at EAC. So if you and your team is interested in more in-depth certified training, then go out to our training calendar on our website and sign up for one of these classes. If you do not see the class you'd like to take on the calendar, put a request in and our team will get back to you. I do want to mention too that we'll be continuing these short webinars on helpful tips and tricks as long as we get good feedback. So I do have a short 2-question survey that will appear as soon as the webinar is shut down. Please reach out to us if you have any more questions. Everyone will receive a replay of the webinar shortly. So thanks again, everyone, for joining today, and have a great rest of your day.